You're tuning into Little Ma's Advanced Weapon Tactics. Today we're going to be doing a review of the knives that John Butler sent us. So we're going to be reviewing all 4 of them since no one decided to vote on them. So I'm going to put this all in one video. There'll be probably more. We'll test these out in the future as well. But at least for now, we're going to test all 4 in one video. We have a bunch of different tests. We got some soup cans. We have some wood from the spear video that we just did. And then we have broken ming head, but it's still intact just enough so that way we can test the skulls on, and we're going to go ahead and see how well they perform today.
Little Mal presents Advanced Weapon Tactics, the weapons review show that tests the lethality and destruction of various cultural artillery. Will this week's weapon be powerful enough to destroy our new ming heads? Find out now. Do not try this at home.
Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of a carving test on the big quickie mop pull, and this is the buck knife that John Butler sent us. It's the fixed knife, and it's probably one of my favorites that he sent us. So we're just going to go ahead and see how well this can, carve the knife. This is probably out of the box sharp or whatever John Butler sent us, so that might be a little bit used or worn down, but whatever. At least we're happy to have it and test it. So it's probably what you see is what you're gonna get if you bought one of these. So it's not that sharp, actually. Actually, when we tested it, this is probably the weakest one, as far as, actually the dullest one as far as sharpness. But it is cutting the wood okay. It's not biting the wood drastically, but, not too bad. You could do some carving and whittling with this kind of a knife. We'll go ahead and test the next one. Next one we have is the Milwaukee. This is the folding knife. And this one is definitely a little bit sharper, so we'll go ahead and see how well this can do at carving and shaving. So definitely, I can already see this is biting the wood much, much better. And that is a lot better. It's just biting into the wood much better than the fixed blade, but it is also sharper. So that's nice, and I do really like this feature right here. It's got this little button that you can flick open and have it open pretty fast. The next one we have for our shaving test is the Cobalt, and we'll go ahead and test this. This one has a shaving side right here, and then it also has this little bit of a razor edge for cutting rope and other things. We'll test both edges and see how well they perform. So I'd say this one is about in between them, maybe even a little bit duller than the other one. It sometimes wants to bite the wood, but sometimes not. So we'll go ahead and test this. That is definitely much sharper, but obviously it's not meant to be cut in wood. It's meant to be cut in rope and other different various materials, fibrous materials, stuff like that. So that performed okay as well. Probably, I'd say around the same as the buck knife. And next up we have the last knife. It has no branding on it. I seen this at Walmart. It's fairly cheap. It's like $4. I'm actually surprised at the build quality of this for $4. Yeah, this is actually built a lot better than some of the other knives that I bought on like Bud K, which are more expensive. I don't buy knives from Bud K anymore because they're crap. But I'm actually surprised on how well this is built for $4, and there's no movement in this lock whatsoever. For $4, you can't beat it. But it's not very sharp. But you could easily sharpen this up if you needed to. But we'll go ahead and test it out. So I'd say this cuts better than the buck knife, but definitely less as the Milwaukee. The Milwaukee definitely cuts the best. Alright, in the same order we have the buck knife, and it's the fixed blade. This is probably the strongest, obviously, because there's nothing that can really break on it. But we're going to go ahead and see if we can pierce this soup can from the bottom. But yeah, let's see if they can do it. So that went in fairly easy. That was pretty nice. Strike. It went about half of the blade length. About that, and I didn't put too much effort or force into that. It cut pretty well. No real damage. It might dull it a little bit, obviously, but nothing that can't be sharpened back down. Next we're going to try the Milwaukee, and there is a little wobble in this one. but hopefully that lock is strong enough. We'll go ahead and see the soup can. And I kind of got that one at an angle, and it poked out through there, but that one did cut very nice. Actually, if you can see, this one right here was from the buck knife, and this one comes more to a point, obviously, because it's sharper. So you can see that one definitely did a cleaner cut, but we kind of hit the side, and we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get more in the middle. And that was what I was looking for. That was really no effort at all. It just cuts right through it, and that was fairly nice. And you can see it actually cut the material rather than, you know, blunt force, you know, pushing it through it. But yeah, again, it's still fairly sharp. The tip, you're not going to be able to see it, but it does have, like, it does look a little flattened. But again, nothing you can't sharpen down. And we have another can, fresh can, and we're going to go ahead and see what this Cobalt can do. I think with this, it might get caught up in there, but I don't know. We'll see. And that one just cut through like butter. That was probably the cleanest one of them all. But again, it stopped right towards the jimping. Not the jimping, but the serrated edge. And maybe that kind of got caught up, and it'll, you know, stop for strikes when you stab. It would stop probably there, but not bad. Also, I realized that this might have, you know, cut a little bit easier because this can is probably a little bit thinner. But we're gonna go ahead and test this Walmart knife. I don't know what to call it, but that's what we'll call it for now. But it's really nice. Definitely no wobble in there whatsoever. So the lock is really good, and it's got this kind of almost Tonto-ish point. So we'll see what this can do. And that one cut through fairly well. Not as easy as the Cobalt, but definitely probably better than the fixed blade buck knife. But that was very, very nice. Okay, so we got the buck knife here, and we're gonna go ahead and do a stab test right on our Ming head and see what this can do as far as the flesh and the bone. See if these can actually do, you know, lethal damage. We'll see what they can do. So that is pretty bad. We'll go ahead and do the rest of the knife and then kind of see what we got. We'll go ahead and test the Milwaukee, but that's going to be some significant amount of damage. We'll go ahead and get right below this eye right here. So that did fairly well, right into the bone. And we'll go ahead and see what this Cobalt can do. Got some nice bonage right back here, so we'll see what this can do to this. I think it's a little bit harder back here. There's probably more bone material back in there, but yeah, it's probably a little bit thicker there. So we'll see what the Walmart knife can do to the back. Actually, that cut probably the best. Did the biggest gouge, but it kind of slipped off a little bit. So maybe we'll give it another strike. And that went fairly deep. But again, there was no bone behind there. So it did just cut the flesh. We'll see it again. Let's see right here. And that one went fairly deep. This knife went about that deep into it. It's probably what, like half an inch. This knife went about 3/4 of an inch, pretty well. The buck knife in the eye socket, where there was a lot of flesh, more flesh than the thing, more flesh in the eye socket, the buck knife did probably about there. I lost the place because I kind of dropped the knife on the floor, but that was pretty good. And the Milwaukee, about there. So all around, pretty good stats for these kind of knives. Alright, so that concludes our test of the knives that John Butler sent us. These are all probably fairly inexpensive, so they're just kind of like more of your tool or everyday carry work knives, stuff like that, just average pocket knives. But we're happy to test them, and we did get some pretty good results. Obviously nothing dramatic like a sword or anything like that, or a bow. You're not going to get like really penetrable damage, but it did go into the flesh, into the skull. It didn't go all the way through any of the skull or any of the knives, but it did go into it at least. So you know, a fractured skull where the little impact point would be pretty devastating. But again, you're not gonna get like one-hit kills with pocket knives. They are lethal, and you do want to be careful about them because you can get hurt. And but it could be a self-defense tool that you can use, maybe a less than lethal option if you go for other parts of the body like the arm and the legs, maybe just to dismember your target and dismantle them so that way they'll stop attacking you and then you can flee. But they all did fairly well. We're going to go ahead and see what the buck knife can do as far as throwing. Throwing test. I got some sticks, not a whole lot. Because of the shape of this handle right here, you're not going to really want to throw it from your hand because it kind of like grips your hand a little bit too much and then like alters the spin rotation a little bit. So you definitely don't want to throw it from the handle, but from the point it's not too bad. I was throwing it from maybe once I got the rotation down, I started at like 5, 10, and then I got up to about 20 feet throwing this thing. It's okay. It's not the best. It's probably not the most balanced. It's handle heavy for sure, but it definitely held up to the abuse very well because I was whipping it sometimes just to test to see the construction and how well this thing is built, because obviously with the Sonic Spirit knife, that thing just went completely kaboom. When we threw it, the handle just broke. So I just wanted to test that to see how well this is, and it's pretty durable. Nothing's really loose in the handle, but again, so for a inexpensive knife, it's pretty well. I wouldn't recommend throwing it, but it can hold up to that abuse. So if you do want to test and practice, this could be a very cheap option, but it's not the greatest. Thank you, John Butler, for sending us the knives. We really appreciate it. And for you, we have one of our Ming skulls. This is solid, just a plaster cast of the Ming skulls, but it's really nice, and it can be a sculpture on your desk, and you can remember the little mouth channel from this. So if you do send us anything to test and you do live in America or somewhere that is cheap to mail stuff, you will get one of these in commemoration and as a thank you for sending us something to test and helping us become, you know, more prevalent on YouTube. So thank you, because we love to test stuff and we love to make videos. It's but if you like this review, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you, John Butler, for sending us these kind of weapons. We did have a lot of fun testing them. You know, obviously the pocket knives, you're not going to get significant amount of damage, but they are a tool first. So that's what they are, and you can use them for whittling. I think that would be a great use for these kind of tools. So that was awesome. Thank you, John Butler. Thank you so much for sending us these. We will test them in the future on other different various targets and stuff like that as well. But for now, I just wanted to get the review out for you guys, and I hope you liked it. I hope you will subscribe, and I hope you will comment below on how we can make the videos better. And until then, see you in the next one, and we're going to make some more videos for Season 3. So make sure to subscribe so you can check out that content, and thank you for watching.